Om Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. So we will continue from where we left. It is the third canto, fifth chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, sloka number 12. Munir vivukshur bhagavad gunanam sakhapi te bhatram aha krishna yasmin rinam gramya sukhanuvade matir grihita nuhare kathayam. Okay. Translation. Your friend, the great sage Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa, has already described the transcendental qualities of the Lord in his great work, the Mahabharata. But the whole idea is to draw the attention of mass of people to Krishna Katha, that is Bhagavad Gita, through their strong affinity for hearing mundane topics. So here Vidura is telling to Maitreya that no, your friend the Vyasadev, so he has already described all the qualities of the Supreme Lord, and especially in the form of Mahabharata. So in Mahabharata, if you see, there is so much of mundane topics of politics, economics, and lot of what is that, intrigue, and so many things are there. So just to attract the attention of common people. So after attracting the attention of common people, so then the Bhagavad Gita is finally spoken. So that's a completely spiritual subject matter. So that's the whole plan of the Mahabharata, where a lot of topics which are of interest for common people are mentioned there. Okay. Purport. The great sage Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa is the author of all Vedic literature, of which his work Vedanta Sutra, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Mahabharata are very popular readings. As stated in Bhagavatam 1.4.25, Srila Vyasadeva compiled the Mahabharata for the less intelligent class of men who take more interest in mundane topics than in the philosophy of life. The Vedanta Sutra was compiled for persons already above the mundane topics who might already have tasted the bitterness of the so called happiness of mundane affairs. The first aphorism of Vedanta Sutra is Atata Brahma Jignasa. That is, only when one has finished the business of mundane inquiries in the marketplace of sense gratification, one can make relevant inquiries regarding Brahman, the transcendence. It's a very important this one. So these three are considered to be very important writings of or important rather than important. It is more read or more what is it? More yeah, repeatedly read, we can say. So Mahabharata is for less intelligent class of men, who wants to hear about this politics and like hero villain kind of stories and stuffs like that. So Mahabharata attracts the attention of such people, and Vedanta is for those people who have finished all those kind of attractions. No, Vedanta, that's why it is mentioned. The first aphorism is Atata Brahma Jignasha. Therefore, inquire about Brahman. So it is nicely Prabhupada is putting here. He's telling that the Vedanta was compiled for persons already above mundane topics, who might already have tasted the bitterness of the so-called happiness of mundane affairs. Right. So somebody who has already come to the conclusion this material world is not a fit place for a gentleman. The material world is so very bad. So it is very, very bitter. So then they can naturally get attraction to Vedanta Sutra. Hmm. So um, and here Prabhupada is nicely mentioning, so when one has finished the business of mundane inquiries in the marketplace of sense gratification. Why marketplace? So in a marketplace, we generally do inquiry, right? So I want this product, and how much do you charge? And no, we actually, so much of question and answers are going on. Which is the thing I want to buy, or no, what is the price, and this and that and all. So that's how everything in our life is basically based on inquiries. And here Prabhupada is putting it as in the marketplace of sense gratification. There is so much of discussions are going on in this world. The key of or the root of everything is sense gratification. So somebody who has finished all those inquiries on the marketplace of sense gratification, they can inquire about Brahman, right? So just a minute. Uh, I'll just drop a message to our regular devotees that they were thinking, probably today also it is not there. Okay, okay. So now we see that, so somebody who has finished the inquiries about sense gratification, they can take up to the Krishna consciousness, or they can start inquiring about the Atada Brahma Jignasa, and such people will be interested in Vedanta. Otherwise, they will not be interested in Vedanta. Okay. So those persons who are busy with mundane inquiries, which fill the newspapers and other such literatures, are classified as Stri Shudra Dvijabandhus, or women, the laborer class, or unworthy sons of the higher classes, that is Brahmana, Kshatriya, and Vaishya. Such less intelligent men cannot understand the purpose of Vedanta Sutra, although they may make a show of studying the sutras in a perverted way. The real purpose of Vedanta Sutra is explained by the author himself in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And anyone trying to understand Vedanta Sutra without reference to Srimad Bhagavatam is certainly misguided. So, why one has to take the reference of Srimad Bhagavatam? Because Vedanta Sutra is the natural commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So, Vedanta Sutra is very, very important. Srimad Bhagavatam is very important. Srimad Bhagavatam is natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra, and thus Srimad Bhagavatam is very important for us to understand the Vedanta Sutra. If somebody is studying Vedanta Sutra without reference to Srimad Bhagavatam, then, as Prabhupada is saying, they are definitely misguided. Such misguided persons who are interested in mundane affairs of philanthropic and altruistic work under the misconception of the body as the self could better take advantage of Mahabharata, which was specifically compiled by Srila Vyasadeva for their benefit. So there are so many people who actually take Vedanta Sutra and then they try to bring about their own set of meanings and things like that. So, but that's not the purpose, or that's then they are not meeting the purpose. So, if they are not able to understand Vedanta Sutra and they are not ready for it, then might as well they study Mahabharata. That's the purpose for which the Mahabharata is written. The great author has compiled the Mahabharata in such a way that the less intelligent class of men who are more interested in mundane topics may read Mahabharata with great relish, and in the course of such mundane happiness can also take advantage of Bhagavad Gita, the preliminary study of Srimad Bhagavatam or Vedanta Sutra. So Bhagavad Gita is the preliminary study, for Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So, and that is present in Mahabharata. And one who knows the importance of Bhagavad Gita, he doesn't need to kind of spend a lot of time reading Mahabharata. he can directly come to the Bhagavad Gita and understand the philosophy of life and get to Srimad Bhagavatam, the ultimate perfection. Right? Okay. Srila Vyasadeva had no interest in writing a history of mundane activities other than to give less intelligent persons a chance for transcendental realization through Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so now a question may be asked, how can we say that this is just a history of mundane activities? The Mahabharata, how can we compare Mahabharata to a history of mundane activities? Krishna was there and devotees of Krishna was there, the Pandavas, and all these things were there. Like, how can that be a mundane activity? So mundane history of some mundane activities. So this is very important to understand that this just because Krishna is there, just because devotees are there, any literature doesn't become a high class literature. No. So what is most important in understanding a particular this one as transcendental literature or not? Why we are not giving Mahabharata the same kind of a status as Srimad Bhagavatam? So it is very important to understand. So the status that is given for Srimad Bhagavatam is very high because it doesn't talk about any mundane materialistic activities. But then in Mahabharata, a lot of mundane materialistic activities have been glorified or have been discussed in great length. No, that is the main problem over there. And we see that Mahabharata has, it's like kind of Krishna and devotees are just little bit of icing on the whole thing, but the whole content is materialistic. So just to attract the people, just to attract the people who have interest in those subjects, so they have been described about. So this also holds true for for like our own practical sense of life. Anywhere there is a photograph of Krishna or some like a resemblance of spirituality and things like that, we cannot call that as a transcendental institution. So transcendental means that entity which is trying to satisfy the Supreme Lord and trying to render service to the Supreme Lord only for the purpose of satisfying the Supreme Lord. So when that is done, then it is called transcendental. Otherwise, it is not transcendental. Otherwise, it is it is within the purview of material nature. So it is very important. We should not just get deviated or cheated by some so-called spiritual this one. So not everything that portrays the Supreme Lord and that portrays some devotees of the Lord to be a completely spiritual entity, right? So we should know that Srimad Bhagavatam is completely spiritual and completely transcendental. Dharma prochita kaitavatra paramo nirmatsaranam satam. So this is very like a key point to note that Srimad Bhagavatam doesn't speak anything else apart from how to please the Lord or to make sure what are the pitfalls are there in the journey of spiritual life and things like that. So Mahabharata is not of that standard, right? So, okay. Vidura's reference to Mahabharata indicates that he had heard of Mahabharata from Vyasadeva, his real father, while he was away from home and was touring the places of pilgrimage. Okay. So he is just informing Maitreya. So I have already heard of it sufficiently, and then there is not much of good content over there. I don't want to hear that again. So please tell me something higher and more pertaining to devotional service to the Supreme Lord. So that's some kind of a thing that he is communicating. Okay, text 13. Sa Shraddha Dhanasya Vidharma विवर्धमाना विरक्तिम् अन्यत्र करोति पुंसः हरे पदानुस्मृति निर्वृतस्य समस्त दुःखाप्ययमाशु दत्ते. Okay. For one who is anxious to engage constantly in hearing such topics, Krishna Katha gradually increases his indifference towards all other things. Such constant remembrance of lotus feet of Lord Krishna by the devotee who has achieved transcendental bliss vanquishes all his miseries without delay. Very amazing, this one. Let's read that again. For one who is anxious to engage constantly in hearing such topics of Krishna Katha, hearing such topics, Krishna Katha gradually increases his indifference towards all other things. Such constant remembrance of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna by the devotee who has achieved transcendental bliss vanquishes all his miseries without delay. So this process of hearing Krishna Katha is so powerful that it just vanquishes one's miseries altogether. And that is mentioned without delay. Not much of time it takes. Purport: we must certainly know that on the absolute plane, Krishna Katha and Krishna are one and the same. So now, when we are hearing about Krishna, it is as good as having direct association of Krishna, right? And there is no difference between that, between these two. The Lord is the absolute truth, and therefore His name, form, quality, etc., which are all understood to be Krishna Katha, are non-different from Him. Bhagavad Gita being spoken by the Lord is as good as the Lord Himself. When a sincere devotee reads Bhagavad Gita, this is as good as seeing the Lord face to face in His personal presence. But this is not so for the mundane wranglers. All the potencies of the Lord are there when one reads Bhagavad Gita, provided it is read in the way recommended in the Gita by the Lord Himself. So this is very nice point. It is mentioned here. So we often hear this story from Chaitanya Charitamrita. So when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went for South Indian Yatra, and there in Srirangam, so he met a Brahmana, who was not very good in reading Sanskrit, but then he was reading and he was making a lot of mistakes, and people around were making fun of him. Hey, no, you don't know to read. No, why are you making a show of reading? And no, why are you doing all these things and things like that? But then this person would not waver in his duty of reading Bhagavad Gita. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went, he asked him that you are not able to read properly. Still, why are you continuing to read? And this person told that this is the order of my spiritual master to read Bhagavad Gita every day, and I'm just trying to do it. So then Mahaprabhu was very pleased that he is trying to execute his instructions of the spiritual master. So one may not be competent enough to execute the instruction of spiritual master, but then no one can a sincere try that has been done, a sincere endeavor that has been done to execute the instruction of one spiritual master. So that is considered to be really very good, really amazing, right? So, okay. Uh, so here we see that a similar kind of this one, that no, the Bhagavad Gita is non-different from the Lord, and if we regularly read Bhagavad Gita, that's really very amazing actually. Okay, one cannot foolishly manufacture an interpretation of Bhagavad Gita and still bring about transcendental benefit. Anyone who tries to squeeze some artificial meaning or interpretation from Bhagavad Gita for an ulterior motive is not Shraddha Dana, uh, Shraddha Dana Pumsaha, or one engaged anxiously in bona fide hearing of Krishna Katha. So this is Shraddha Dana, means with faith, with Shraddha Dana, with faith. So one who is hearing in that way, with faith in the subject matter, then such a person is like really amazing. Okay, such a person cannot. Anyone who tries to squeeze some artificial meaning or interpretation of Bhagavad Gita without Shraddha, if somebody is hearing, so then such a person cannot derive any benefit from reading Bhagavad Gita, however great a scholar he may be in the estimation of a layman. The Shraddha Dana or faithful devotee can actually derive all the benefit of Bhagavad Gita, because by the omnipotency of the Lord, he achieves the transcendental bliss which vanquishes attachment and nullifies all concomitant material desires. Only the devotee, by his factual experience, can understand the import of this verse spoken by Vidura. The pure devotee of Lord enjoys life by constantly remembering the lotus feet of the Lord by hearing Krishna Katha. For such a devotee, there is no such thing as material existence, and the much advertised bliss of Brahmananda is like a fig for devotee who is in the midst of transcendental ocean of bliss. So here, nice thing is mentioned: one who is expert in hearing Krishna Katha, or one who is faithful in hearing Krishna Katha, and one who is relishing the taste of Krishna Katha. For him, all the other material things no, they are of no much of taste. And then the Brahmananda means the happiness of liberation. Even that is not very great for him. So because he's enjoying the association of Krishna, so the mere liberation, wherein release from the material miseries, is no more any tasty for him, because no, he's much beyond that. He's not just released from the material pains. He has got the association of the Supreme Lord in the form of Krishna Katha. So then such people are, very fortunate. They are enjoying the bliss of Krishna Katha. Hmm? Okay, text 14. Tancho cha sochan avido nu soche hare kathayam vimukan agena क्षीणोति देवो निमिषस्तु येषाम् आयुर्वृथा वादगति स्मृतीनाम्. Okay. O sage, persons who, because of their sinful activities, are averse to the topics of transcendence and thus ignorant of the purpose of Mahabharata, that is Bhagavad Gita, are pitied by the pitiable. I also pity them because I see how their duration of life is spoiled by eternal time while they involve themselves in presentations of philosophical speculation, theoretical ultimate goals of life, and different modes of rituals. Right? So here it's nicely mentioned that no, because of sinful activities. No, in Bhagavad Gita it is mentioned, Esham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandva mohanar mukta bhajante mam dridavritha. So a person who is completely finished his sinful credits, such person will become very strong in following the Krishna conscious process. So in very strong in practicing bhakti. So till the time we have the sinful credits, so then we will have that no aversion, or we will have some kind of a no blockage in our practice of Krishna consciousness. And no, we, by knowing this, we should hear Krishna Katha and we should try to practice Krishna consciousness. And by the practice of Krishna consciousness, the first effect is the sins gets reduced. And after the sins get reduced, then we become very strongly situated in Krishna consciousness, right? So, and here Vidura is telling, I'm pitying that position of those people who are not able to awaken their relish or taste in studying Bhagavad Gita because of their sinful background, right? So, and then it is, he's mentioning, I also pity them because I see how their duration of life is spoiled by eternal time while they involve themselves in presentations of philosophical speculations. And first is like they generate their own philosophy and they just speak about that. And then theoretical ultimate goals of life, they set their own goals of life. They don't hear from the Bhagavatam, know what is the ultimate goal of life. And then no, they are engaged in different modes of rituals and things like that, right? So in this way, like, no, they're deviated, and they are not able to take the message of Srimad Bhagavatam no purely. Mm. Okay, purport. According to the modes of material nature, there are three kinds of relationships between human beings and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are in the mode of ignorance and passion are averse to the existence of God, or else they formally accept the existence of God in the capacity of an order supplier. Above them are those who are in the mode of goodness. This second class of men believe the Supreme Brahman to be impersonal. They accept the cult of bhakti, in which hearing of Krishna Katha is the first item as a means and not the end. Hmm? So here we see that this no, they, these people, like the people who are Brahmavadis, are they are aiming at the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. So they also engage in hearing Krishna Katha, but then they think that it is just a means. No, I'll just climb on this ladder and I'll reach my liberated state, and then I don't need Krishna Katha anymore, right? So that is not a very good this one. So they are not very intelligent enough, or they are not very clear enough in their outlook. So Krishna Katha is not just the means, it is also the end. Even after going to the spiritual world, no, we will be doing this very same thing of discussing Krishna Katha, right? Above them are those who are pure devotees. They are situated in the transcendental stage above the mode of material goodness. Such persons are decidedly convinced that the name, form, fame, qualities, etc. of the Supreme Personality of or the Personality of Godhead are non-different from one another on the absolute plane. Abhinnatvam nama naminaha. Right? So Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinnatvam Nama Naminaha. So it is very like important principle to understand. If we are devotees of the Lord, so then we should understand the name of the Lord is non-different from Him, the form of the Lord is non-different from Him, the pastimes or the fame of the Lord is non-different from Him. So this is a very important thing to understand. So without this, we will become like, okay, name of the Lord is different from the Lord, so then we become a pashandi or a non-believer. So then such kind of this one is called as an atheist. So that means our definition of theism is not very proper. So when we say that anyone who's worshipping any form of this one demigods and things like that, we call them theistic. No, somebody who's worshipping the Supreme Lord and no, we call them as theistic. No, we cannot even call them as theistic. Only if they come to this point of understanding the name of the Lord is non-different from the Lord, the form of the Lord is non-different from the Lord. So only when they come to such point, they become theistic. Otherwise, the scriptures call them as pashandi, right? So no, they are non-believers or atheistic, right? Okay. For them, hearing of the topics of Krishna is equal to meeting with him face to face for devotees of the Lord, right? According to this class of men who are situated in pure devotional service to the Lord, the highest goal of human life is Purushartha or Purushartha is devotional service to the Lord, the real mission of life. So there is Purushartha. So Purushartha, whenever this term comes, we understand there are four things that are generally mentioned: Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. Dharma means to follow the religious principles. And why do I have to follow these religious principles? By doing that, I get the sufficient punya, or I get the artha, for the purpose of sense gratification, Kama. And then once I do Kama, then I become frustrated with the life. So then I will be aiming at moksha. So this is called the Purusharthas, the four Purusharthas. And the Panchama Purushartha means the prema. So that is the love of Godhead. So that is something that is sought after. That is something that a devotee wants to attain, right? So that's called Panchama Purushartha, or devotional service to the Lord. So that is the real mission of life. The impersonalists, because they are engaged in mental speculation and have no faith in personality of Godhead, have no business hearing the topics of Krishna. Such persons are pitiable for the first class pure devotees of the Lord. Um, the pitiable impersonalist, pity those who are influenced by the modes of ignorance and passion, but the pure devotees of Lord take pity on them, both because both waste their most valuable time in human form of life in false pursuits, namely sense enjoyment and mental speculative presentations of different theories and goals of life. So here we see that the impersonalists, they take pity on the people who are influenced by mode of ignorance and passion, that means the materialistic people, and the devotees of the Lord, they take pity on both of them. No, because of course the materialistic people, they are not able to understand the goal of life. The impersonalists, at least they have understood that the material nature is not all in all, and no, we have to aim for something higher, but then they have not found the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So that's the pitiable condition, right? So for that, no, they are also pitied by the devotees of the Lord. Okay, text 15. तदस्य कौशारव शर्म धातुर हरेर कथाम येव कथाशु सारम उद्धृत्य पुष्पेभ्य इवार्तबंधो शिवाय न कीर्तय तीर्थकीर्तेः. O Maitreya, O friend of the distressed, the glories of the Supreme Lord can alone do good for people all over the world. Therefore, just as bees collect honey from flowers, kindly describe the essence of all topics, the topics of the Lord. So here Vidura is submitting a very nice request from Maitreya. He's telling, "Oh, friend of the distressed," that means people who are speaking Krishna Katha, they are called the friend of the distressed, right? So the glories of the Supreme Lord can alone do good for people all over the world. No, the Krishna Katha can do so much good for people, no, all over the world, right? So therefore, just as bees collect honey from flowers, very very amazing example this is. Bees collect honey from flowers. So in this, whatever is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is not that it is not mentioned in other Puranas and other places, but then it is very important when a bee goes to a flower. There is so many elements of the flower is there. The pollen is there, the leaves are there, the petals are there, and so many things are there. But the essence of a flower is the honey, right? So the same way, there are so many things that are there in various Puranas, but then the essence of everything is the glories of the Supreme Lord Krishna. And here Vidura is telling, just you pick up those glories selectively. No, you pick them up, and that which is in accordance with the pure devotional service, you just describe that alone, right? So I don't want to hear of anything mundane. No, I want to hear only those topics which are completely concerning to the Lord, and which are in the realm of pure devotional service. You just simply speak those topics. Kindly describe the essence of all topics, the topics of the Lord. So, okay, let's see the purport. There are many topics from different persons and different modes of material nature, but the essential topics are those in relationship with the Supreme Lord. Unfortunately, materially affected conditioned souls are all more or less averse to the topics of the Supreme Lord, because some of them do not believe in the existence of God and some of them believe only in the impersonal feature of the Lord. In both cases, there is nothing for them to say of God. Both non believers and the impersonalists deny the essence of all topics. Therefore, they engage in topics of relativity in various ways, either in sense gratification or in mental speculation. For the pure devotees like Vidura, the topics of both the mundaners and mental speculators are useless in all respects. Thus, Vidura requested Maitreya to talk of the essence only, the talks of Krishna and nothing else. No, very amazing. So he just wants to hear about Krishna Katha. Text 16. Sa Vishwa Janma Sthiti Samyamarthe Kritavatara Pragrhita Shakti Chak Chakara Karmani Ati Purushani Yanishvara Kirtaya Tani Mahyam. Kindly chant all those superhuman transcendental activities of the Supreme Controller, the personality of Godhead, who accepted incarnations fully equipped with all potency for the full manifestation and maintenance of the cosmic creation. Purport. Vidura was undoubtedly very eager to hear about Lord Krishna in particular, but he was overwhelmed because Lord Krishna had just passed away from the visible world. He therefore wanted to hear about him in his Purusha incarnations, which he manifests with full potencies for creation and maintenance of cosmic world. The activities of Purusha incarnation are but an extension of the activities of the Lord. This hint was given by Vidura to Maitreya because Maitreya could not decide which part of the activities of Lord Krishna should be chanted. Okay, so after submitting all, like right from the beginning, Vidura was asking so many different things, and then finally he was asking about the specific topics about Krishna to be spoken and selected from various no scriptures. And then here Maitreya is also telling that just because he was fully afflicted with the grief of Vidura was afflicted with the grief of losing Krishna's association, and he was telling that, okay, let us start from the activities of the Purusha incarnation of the Lord. So in that way, we will gradually come to the point of discussing direct Krishna Katha. So that's the point that is mentioned here. And text 17. श्रीसुक उवाच एवं भगवान् स एव भगवान् पृष्टः क्षत्रा क्षौरास् कौशारभो मुनिः पुंसां निःश्रेयसार्थेन तम् आह बहुमान मानयन्. Shukadeva Goswami said, the great sage Maitreya Muni after honoring Vidura very greatly, began to speak at Vidura's request for the greatest welfare of all people. Right? So these kind of questions and answers, they are meant for greatest welfare of all people. And we can see those questions that are made and the answers that are made at that point in time is being recorded, and all of us are taking benefit of it. And just by studying this, we are able to advance in Krishna consciousness. So, Krishna consciousness we can advance when there is a discussion between like two people who are interested in Krishna, and when we hear those discussions, also we can advance. So, it requires people who carry Krishna in their heart. So, that's a very important thing. And here we are fortunate to study the discussion between two people, Vidura and Maitreya. Both of them were so much eager to render service to Krishna, so much absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. And when we discuss or when we read about them, or the discussions of like that they had between them, that is a greatest fortune for us. We can also get the same benefit of intense absorption on the Supreme Lord, right? Purport. The great sage Maitreya Muni described here as Bhagavan because he surpassed all ordinary human beings in learning and experience. Thus, his selection of the greatest welfare service for the world is considered authoritative. The all inclusive welfare service for the entire human society is devotional service to the Lord, and as requested by Vidura, the sage described the same very appropriately. Okay, text 18. Maitreya uvacha sadhu prishtam tvaya sadho lokan sadva anu anugrihi anugrihnata kirtim vitanvatha loke atmano dokshajatmanah. Okay, so this is a nice, this one, sadhu prishtam. Sadhu prishtam means like it's an appreciation actually. So it is he's telling that, oh sadhu, like no, it's very nice question you have put. It's a nice kind of an appreciation that is given, for my Vidura's questions. Sri Maitreya said, O Vidura, all glory unto you. You have inquired from me of the greatest of all goodness, and thus you have shown your mercy both to the world and to me, because your mind is always absorbed in the thoughts of transcendence. So here we see that the questions are, here this question is like called as sadhu prishtam. So this is like glorified. So many times, like we also ask many questions, but they are not sadhu prishtam. They are like dealing with the material things, our attachment to family members, our attachment to something material and things like that. So they are not sadhu prishtam. So they are like substandard. This one. Why we are asking that? Because we are contaminated by the material modes of nature. So, like here we see Vidura is a person, who's beyond the material modes of nature, who's always thinking about the Supreme Lord. And Maitreya is also a similar kind of a person. And here, such questions are appreciated, saying, "Oh, such questions, the answers to such questions is going to be Bhuvana Mangala. It's going to be like everywhere. It will create auspiciousness everywhere, right? So that's an appreciation that is given here. Okay, let's see the purport. Maitreya Muni, who was experienced in the science of transcendence, could understand that Vidura's mind was fully absorbed in transcendence. Adokshaja means which transcends the limits of sense perception or sensuous experience. So we had discussed about this word adokshaja quite a few times, right? Ada akshaja. So akshaja means like that which can be. Aksha means eyes, but then here we can say that which can be understood by the senses. Ja, or no, for that is used for the purpose of understanding. Ja or jnana or knowledge. So adokshaja means like that entity or that personality who cannot be understood by our materially contaminated senses. He is beyond the sense perception, right? So such a person is called adokshaja, right? So and here it's mentioned the Lord is transcendental to our sense experience. No, that's the meaning of adokshaja. But he reveals himself to the sincere devotee. So that's also a very important aspect. So the Lord actually reveals to know himself to the sincere devotee. So though we may not have we may have the material senses. The Lord can award us the spiritual senses to see Him, to experience Him. It is completely uh, within the desire of the Lord, within the will of the Lord. So Lord can reveal Himself to us. But if we want to understand the Lord by our material senses, then it is not possible, right? Okay. Because Vidura was always absorbed in thought of the Lord, Maitreya could estimate Vidura's transcendental value. He appreciated the valuable inquiries of Vidura and thus thanked him with great honor. Okay. Um, Text 19. Naita chitram tvai kshatar badarayana viryaje गृहीतो अनन्यभावेन यत्त्वया हरिरीश्वरः. O Vidura, it is not at all wonderful that you have so accepted the Lord without deviation of thought, for you were born from the semen of Vyasadev. So this is all of us know the history of Mahabharata, and like when the like Vichitravirya and Chitrangada. So these two are great personalities, and then so at the unfortunate death of them, so then the whole dynasty has to be continued, and then they were having uh, like different kinds of what is that options, and then they decided that Vyasadev, who was born of Satyavati, like the queen at that point in time. So no, she called upon Vyasadev to beget children in the wombs of the dead wombs of the this queens, like who are there, whose husbands were dead. So it's like the it's a very very exceptional kind of a case where um, like the elder brother or the elder brother can beget children in this way, in kind of in times of crisis. No, this is an apad dharma. So this is mentioned, but then this is not allowed in Kali Yuga. So it is very clearly mentioned that Ashwamedam Gavalambam Sanyasam Falapaitrikam Devarena Sutotpatti Kalo Pancha Vivarjaye. So this Devarena Sutotpatti, so that means begetting of children by the husband's brother in the absence of in the demise of the husband. So then in that way the Vamsha can be continued. So but then that is not that is kind of prohibited in Kali Yuga, but in the previous ages this could be done. So this is kind of a like apad dharma, means emergency kind of a dharma that was put in. Otherwise the royal throne of the Hastinapur would have not got any like issue. So then by this process Vyasadev begot three children. So they were the Pandu Maharaj, Dhritarashtra, and Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and the Vidura. So now, like here, Maitreya is appreciating Vidura by saying that, oh, like, no, you are, it is not very astonishing to see you are asking such amazing questions, which are not only beneficial for us, it is beneficial for everyone to hear about this question and answer. So why it is not astonishing? Because you are son of Vyasadev. No, you are son of Vyasadev, so it's befitting you to ask such questions. Okay, purport. The value of great parentage and noble birth is evaluated here in connection with the birth of Vidura. The culture of a human being begins when the father invests his semen in the womb of the mother. According to his status of work, a living entity is placed in a particular father's semen, and because Vidura was not an ordinary living entity, he was given the chance to be born from the semen of Vyasa. The birth of human being is a great science, and therefore reformation of act of impregnation according to the Vedic ritual called Garbhadan Samskar is very important for generating good population. The problem is not to check the growth of the population, but to generate good population on the level of Vidura, Vyasa, and Maitreya. Right? There is no need to check the growth of population if the children are born as human beings with all precautions regarding their birth. so-called birth control um, is not only vicious but also useless. So it's no very nice point is mentioned here about the process of Garbhadan Samskar. So it is begetting children is actually a science wherein wherein the proper consciousness of the parents is important and proper preparation is important. And if that is the case, like no one can have any number of children, so that is not a problem. So it is artificial population control, growth control, and stuffs like that. So this is not necessary. No, there is a need of well cultured population, no, in this world. So that's a very important thing. No, the a population which is sinless. Nowadays we see we have created, or the modern society has created a class of population which is highly sinful. No, like who are suffering themselves, and because of their no too much of sinful background, they are creating suffering for others. And we have gone to the extent of no we are talking about this ozone layer depletion, talking about no the natural resources exploitation, and so many problems, social problems, and no ecological problems, and so many problems are coming up. It's because no like we have or we means like as a society as a whole, I'm just telling. So we have created a population. We have engaged in sexual activities very very casually and created progeny which are hellish, no, which are very sinful. And no, the result is what? No, suffering everywhere. No, everywhere it is suffering. So this is something that we have to take note of, and we should bring in good population into the system. And in that way, like we will be able to help the society in general. So this is a great service for all the grahasthas to create good population, right? So to create good population, so which can actually liberate the which can actually help in liberation of people in general, which can actually help in separating the society in general. So rather than holding flags and trying to do reformation anywhere else, no, this should start from right from the inception, right from the point of no begetting children. So if the children are produced nice, so then automatically good results will come in, right? Okay, let's see the next sloka, text 20. Mandavya Shapad Bhagavan Praja Samya Manoyamah Bhratru Kshetre Bhuji Bhujishyayam Jata Satyavati Sutat. I know that you are now Vidura due to the cursing of Mandavya Muni, and that formerly you were the king Yamaraj, the great controller of living entities after their death. You were begotten by the son of Satyavati Vyasadev in the kept wife of his brother. Purport. Mandavya Muni was a great sage, and no, there is a reference in 113.1. So we had discussed about that in the purport. No, whenever the names first appeared in Srimad Bhagavatam, so that time Prabhupada gives a no history of the purport, history about that particular personality in the purport. So it is there in 113.1 about the like a description of Mandavya Muni. Okay, so Mandavya Muni was a great sage, and Vidura was formerly the controller of the controller Yamaraj, who takes charge of the living entities after death. Birth, maintenance, and death are three conditional states of living entities who are within the material world. As the appointed controller after death, Yamaraj once tried Mandavya Muni for his childhood profligacy and ordered him to be pierced with a lance. Okay, profligacy. Just a minute, we'll just see the meaning of it. Reckless, extravagance, or wasteful in the use of resources. Okay, so here we see that Mandavya Muni punished Yamaraj or cursed Yamaraj, like okay, so this is coming down, but then like why Yamaraj actually like put Mandavya Muni on a trial? It is Mandavya Muni, when he was a small child, he actually pierced a grasshopper or something like that, a small insect. And then for that reason, Mandavya Muni was later in his life, so there was some thieves or murderers or somebody, like they took shelter in his ashram. So when means they just hide out, they made his ashram as a hideout. And when these thieves were arrested, even the Mandavya Muni also was arrested, and then he was about to be pierced on the lance. Lance means a sharp kind of a tool. No, he was to be pierced by the lance. And when he was about to be executed, so he was released. No, the king got to know that this is a great sage, and then he released. And Mandavya Muni, he became very angry at Yamaraj. How can he be put in that kind of a situation? He's a pious soul. He's a very he has not done anything wrong in his life, throughout his life, and then even he's a very pious sage. So how can he be punished? So then, when he asked, questioned Yamaraj, Yamaraj told, "In your childhood, you did like this." And Mandavya Muni told, "See, childhood is a time when the intelligence is not mature enough, and actions performed at that time are not to be considered for karma. And how can you consider that? So, because you acted in this wrong way, you become a Shudra." So, he actually curses Yamaraj to become a Shudra. And that is how Yamaraj had to come down as Vidura, right? So, these Munis were having so much power because of their piety, so they could even curse Yamaraj and then bring him down. So, anyways, let's continue the purport. Mandavya, being angry at Yamaraj for awarding him undue punishment, cursed him to become a Shudra, member of the less intelligent laborer class. Thus, Yamaraj took birth in the womb of the kept wife of Vichitravirya from the semen of Vichitravirya's brother Vyasadev. Vyasadev is the son of Satyavati by the great sage Parashara, and Vichitravirya is the son of the same Satyavati by the great king Shantanu, the father of Bhishmadev. So this is also an important thing, that Parashara, once he was traveling and in the boat, and then so Satyavati was daughter of a fisherman, and he got attracted to Satyavati, and Vyasadev was born. And this is considered to be a this is not an ordinary thing, because Parashara is a great sage, and he cannot be attracted just like that to any woman, right? So he is attracted to this woman, and then he is begetting a child, and this was considered to be a ordinance of the Lord. And how can we say that it is ordinance of the Lord? Because what is the result? The result is a great sage again, who was Vyasadev. So if it is an illegal activity, as we were discussing, that Garbhadan Samskar and all these things, so if we are not like generating the progeny in a proper way, so then Varana Shankara gets created. So, but then here the result is amazing. That is, Vyasadev has come into picture, who is the author of all the Vedic literatures, who's in fact the incarnation of the Lord for the purpose of writing the Vedic literatures. Such a great personality, cannot happen by accident. So this is ordinance of the Lord, right? So this, by an accident, a sinful progeny can be brought about. By accident, we cannot create divine progeny. So this is directly an ordinance of the Lord. And by the blessings of Parashara, Satyavati again became a virgin woman, and then she was later on married to Vichitravirya, right? So then, mm, sorry, later on, uh, and Vichitravirya is the son of the same Satyavati. Sorry, like this later on married to Shantanu, right? So Shantanu Maharaj, and then Vichitravirya is the son of the Satyavati, and the father of what is it? Son of the same Satyavati by the great king Shantanu, the father of Bhishmadev. So Shantanu had Bhishmadev, by another wife. So that is Ganga. He is called as Ganga Putra. So this mysterious history of Vidura was known to Maitreya Muni because he happened to be a contemporary friend of Vyasadev's. In spite of Vidura's birth from the womb of a kept wife, because he had otherwise high parentage and great connection, he inherited the highest talent of becoming a great devotee of the Lord. To take birth in such a great family is understood to be an advantage for attaining devotional life. Vidura was given this chance due to his previous greatness. Okay, so we will stop here for today, and just a minute.